Standing beside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, U.S. President Donald Trump said something Iran had been expecting, but not hoping to hear.
And speaking of Iran, I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup, as I've been reading that they're building up weapons.
It wasn't a declaration of war. It wasn't a threat. But in Tehran, it sounded like confirmation, because from Iran's perspective, the last war never really ended. The June 2025 war between Israel and Iran lasted just 12 days. That sounds brief, almost contained, but short wars often leave the biggest questions unanswered. Israel didn't achieve a decisive blow. Iran didn't prove it could impose real costs, and both sides walked away with the same conclusion. Next time will be worse. Iranian officials reacted quickly to Trump's remarks. Ali Shamkhani, advisor to Iran's supreme leader, warned that Iran's missile and air defense capabilities were already beyond containment. Any attack, he said, would be met with a response that no one could predict. Iran's president echoed the same idea. An unjust strike would not go unanswered. This wasn't bravado, it was preparation. On June 13, 2025, the very first day of the war, Iranian ballistic missiles struck the Da Vinci Towers in northern Tel Aviv, a residential and commercial complex. Israel imposed a near-total media blackout. Major outlets barely mentioned the strike until weeks later. Then came the explanation. Beneath the towers sat a highly classified underground facility jointly operated by U.S. and Israeli forces, a command, control, and intelligence hub known as Site 81, one of Israel's most sensitive military installations, hidden under civilians. The strike exposed two uncomfortable realities. First, Israel embeds critical military infrastructure inside densely populated areas. Second, Iran doesn't need air superiority to reach them. No fighter jets, no pilots, just intelligence and missiles. Iran understands a basic military fact. It cannot compete with Israel in the air, so it doesn't try. Instead, Iran has built its deterrence almost entirely around ballistic missiles. During the June 2025 war alone, Iran launched 574 ballistic missiles at Israel. In previous confrontations, it had already fired more than 330. In total, Iran used over a third of its estimated pre-war missile stockpile. For Israel, this changed the calculation. Iran's missile program is now seen as a more immediate threat than its nuclear program. Not because of what Iran has today, but because of what it could build tomorrow. During the 12-day war, Israel focused its strikes on a very specific part of Iran's military industry: missile production, and more specifically, planetary mixers. These machines are essential for producing solid-fuel ballistic missiles. They mix volatile chemical compounds with extreme precision. Without them, missiles don't just fail, they explode. Israel targeted facilities containing existing mixers, and facilities attempting to manufacture new ones. The objective wasn't simply to destroy missiles, it was to slow Iran's ability to rebuild. When the ceasefire came, Iran didn't celebrate. It recalculated. The pause wasn't peace, it was time. Satellite imagery later showed Iran rebuilding missile production sites rapidly, faster in fact than its damaged nuclear facilities. But one obstacle remained. The mixers were still gone. This is where China enters the picture. According to intelligence reports, Iran began importing large quantities of sodium perchlorate from China, a critical ingredient in solid missile fuel. Roughly 2,000 tons entered Iran through Bandar Abbas starting in late September. Enough to fuel about 500 ballistic missiles. Not enough for a long war, but enough to send a message. Iranian officials now claim their missile capabilities are stronger than before. That claim is difficult to independently verify. Here's the problem for Iran. Missiles are expensive. Long-range ballistic missiles can cost millions of dollars each. Launching them by the hundreds or thousands adds up fast. Iran's economy is already under heavy strain. For 2026 to 2027, Iran proposed a combined defense and security budget of around $9 billion. Israel, by comparison, approved a $35 billion defense budget, openly described as a war budget. And that doesn't include U.S. support. Between 2023 and 2025, the United States provided Israel with nearly $34 billion in military assistance and operational aid. This imbalance matters because it means neither side wants a prolonged war, but only one side can afford it. During the June conflict, Israel was spending up to $200 million per day intercepting Iranian missiles. More worrying, interceptor stockpiles were running low. U.S. intelligence assessments reportedly warned that without resupply or direct American involvement, Israel could sustain missile defense for only 10 to 12 days. That helps explain the sudden push for a ceasefire. The fighting stopped, but the conflict didn't. Despite heavy strikes, Iran's nuclear program survived. Facilities were damaged, not destroyed. More critically, around 408 kilograms of highly enriched uranium remained intact. International inspectors believe most of it still exists. They just don't know where. Iran still has the expertise, still has the material. The program was delayed, not erased. Israel's long-term objective may go beyond missiles or nuclear sites. It may be regime change, but that path is extraordinarily risky. Iranian officials have warned that any direct attempt to destabilize the country's highest centers of authority would trigger consequences far beyond Israel. Closing the Strait of Hormuz, striking Gulf oil infrastructure, disrupting global energy supplies. That wouldn't be a regional crisis, it would be global. After the war, Iran launched aggressive counterintelligence operations, arrests, purges, internal investigations, but Israeli officials remain confident their intelligence networks inside Iran, built over decades, still function. Which brings us to the real question. If this war does break out, what will its consequences be? For Iran, for Israel, and for the entire Middle East? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this analysis useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.